What is up, Taurus? This is Eden. I am here to do your seasonal energy read for your birthday season. So I am here and we are going to go ahead and jump straight in. So happy birthday to all the Tauruses out there, by the way. The way we're going to do this is we're going to go into, not Joe, wow. We're going to go into the meditative session for your sign and pick up on some of the visions and symbolism that I got when kind of diving into your energy. And then we'll go into the oracle card reading or whatever oracle card that we pull for you. And then that'll kind of be like the main feel or the main entree of your reading. And then we'll jump into the tarot, which is going to be like the little ingredients, the little details of this reading for you. So let's go ahead and jump straight in. So the first thing that I saw for you, Tarot, I cannot talk today. The first thing that I saw for you, Taurus, was interesting because I saw a cross on a mountain and then it was on the outline of like a heart. Crosses have a lot of symbolism. The one that I take from it the most, I think, is definitely that there is some sort of pressure to change. There is something with the heart being on the outline. I think this is really a change that's needing to happen from within yourself. But it's coming from an external source, which makes it extra uncomfy, which leads me into like the mountain that this cross was on. Mountains represent constancy and endurance. And do you have the endurance to get to the top of that mountain? Do you have all the things that you need to get on top of that mountain? Are you mentally ready to be able to climb that mountain and achieve everything, to get to the top of it? I also saw a grizzly bear, which is interesting because I've been learning a little bit about grizzly bears lately. And one thing I have come away from all of my studies on TikTok about grizzly bears is they don't really need a reason to like catch a fade with somebody. They're quite aggressive animals, but they're so cute. And I think that could be how a lot of you are being looked at. But I think with all this pressure, especially with Saturn and Jupiter squaring your energy in Aquarius right now, you're a little sensitive right now. You are definitely cooking up something. You're definitely creating quite a bit. I'm not surprised. You guys are very creative. You're ruled by Venus, and there is this sense of creativity and abundance within you, but there is definitely some pressure, which I think is making you really have to question what's going on internally, and it's making you lash out possibly externally. The new moon and the full moon are going to be in your 1st and 7th house, so I'm not super surprised that this is coming up right now, because that axis of the 1st and 7th house really says the connections that I make, are they the right ones for me? What are they saying about me? And that can be an uncomfortable place to be at. Am I accepting and what not only what does this say about me, but what does this relationship reflect back to me about me? And that's really having to deal with self-esteem and self-respect. And that can get really sticky really quickly. And I think a lot of you are trying to also figure out who can you trust, right? Because I say all that because with the grizzly, there are 2 expressions that I saw. One where the bear just looked very curious, and then another where he was like ready to attack. Like, so some of you might be experiencing that in your relationships, going from very much like a listening standpoint to where if things get too real too quickly, it can definitely be a point where you feel like everything is just too much and it's overwhelming and you lash out. However, on the flip side, I also think that a lot of you are creating things externally and you're just very protective of those things. Bears do quite a bit of hibernating. And bears and birds, if you watched the Aries video, bears and birds were often seen as the divine, changing into these animals to come down and speak to humans, to people. And so when we look at this, it's like divine creativity. And that is definitely something that has to be protected. That belief system is definitely something that you protect. But I think you're really being asked to question some of those things right now and make some sort of alchemical change or adjustment in yourself. So with that being said, what was that? Oh, this is where I was going with that. We have the grizzly bear that does, or any bear, does hibernation at a certain time of year. And the funny thing about hibernation is that bears actually don't sleep the whole time. They give birth, they go out and roam around. But the thing about hibernation is that they store up fat before they actually go into hibernation mode. And through hibernation, all of their vitals drop. And they are living on everything that's already literally within them already. And I think that's something that's really happening with you. And that's why I really dig in that this is some sort of internal thing that's happening and causing maybe some conflict on an external level, but really everything is on an internal level because the external is only a mirror of what's happening on the internal, right? And so with that being said, I think you're creating a lot. You're working in silence right now. You really don't want anybody, cooking in the kitchen with you. And I think to some extent that's fine, because I think that's where you kind of need to be right now. But I do think you're also having to question your allies and who are your partners. Who can you be vulnerable with, right? So with that being said, we're going to jump into your oracle cards. And so I'm going to I got a new deck yesterday. So Taurus, because this is your birthday, you're going to get an extra, I'm like, for Aries, I'll do it, next time we have your season. But for Taurus, I think it's perfect that I got this deck yesterday. We're going to be using this plants and herbs oracle deck, the medicinal properties of, or it's like a medicinal, like, you'll get what I mean in just a second. So let's see what we get for you, Taurus, for your oracle, for your main entree. And I think that's such a fantastic metaphor since we're in your season. Venus and Taurus has really been having me. I'm a Taurus moon. So Venus and Taurus has really been digging into my pockets as far as good food and art, buying art. So you got ginkgo, which is actually one of my favorite trees. Ginkgo biloba is one of the oldest known plant species living on the earth. Unique to this wise tree is the ability to live in highly disturbed landscapes on the edge of a river in cliffs, rocks, or eroded soil. Resolute in the face of disturbance, ginkgo offers us lessons filled with perseverance, composure, and hope. When someone tries to take you off course, what tools do you possess that will offer solid footing or stability to avoid collapse? So I think this is really you also just not completely giving up your own power, but definitely standing in your own power, knowing where enough is enough, because I think with Jupiter and Saturn and Aquarius, you're definitely being asked to shake things up a little bit, but you have to know where are you right and where do you need to change. And I think that's definitely that wisdom that ginkgo is really trying to bring you. And we were talking about what tools do you possess within yourself. And so a lot of this is internal. And a lot of that change is coming from within you and really embracing your own wisdom to make those choices. Let's go ahead and go into the major arcana deck and see what we get for you. I feel like there's another card for you, Taurus. Is there? Okay, never mind. No. Off the grid. This is the Hermit in this deck. Off the grid. You're definitely wanting to be by yourself. We're definitely keeping things close to the chest, and you really don't want to talk to people. The Hermit is really a time to find self-awareness. So we're over and over again, we're really getting this thing of you going into yourself to find self-awareness, to find your own wisdom. During this time, you might actually encounter maybe like a mentor or a teacher that can help you on your journey of kind of figuring things out and making sense of things that are happening within yourself. But I think think this is a really a good time for you to connect with nature as well, and really find that wisdom, not just from trusted loved ones and friends, and ultimately coming back to yourself and asking what fits best for you, but also pulling wisdom from nature. I'm having to do this quite a bit myself. So let's go ahead and dive into the tarot. See what we get for you. Okay, we got the Eight of Pentacles. You're definitely working on something. Ooh, the Emperor. Feeling bossy, huh, Taurus? And that's good. That can be good. We have Judgment. Let's keep in mind that also the Three of Pentacles. We also have we have the Six of Pentacles as well. We also have the new and full moon on your first house and seventh house. And so you're really looking at all of this having to do with your relationships in particular. And I think I said that already, but I can't remember. So if I didn't, just keep that in mind as well, because that is important. Let's see. The Two of Swords. Anything else for Taurus? The Ten of Wands. Okay. So we have the Ten of Wands, the Two of Swords, the Six of Pentacles, the Three of Pentacles, Judgment, the Emperor, and the Eight of Pentacles. I'm going to start with the Eight of Pentacles because I think it really blends well with that old sage energy that we were talking about before, that I think will really be helpful for you. I see a lot of you doing your own thing and really looking at quality versus quantity. You're really getting into your element. Obviously, it's your birthday season, and the sun is in your sign, and so I expect nothing less. But I think especially you're just really in the zone here, and a lot of what you're working on is something that you're really passionate about. The Eight of Pentacles is about fulfilling work, but work that you're very passionate about, hence really wanting it to be the best it can be, even when we're talking about in relationships. And so with relationships, we're really having to, with Judgment and the Two of Swords and the Ten of Wands, we're really having to basically tell some people to own their own shit and to take some responsibility off of us. Taurus, I know you can be that workhorse, and you're very caring, and you really want to help take care of people. But not everybody is good for you. Not everybody is really going to pull their own weight. And I think you're really having to make that call right now. And I think it's definitely hard for you. I think it's interesting that Two of the Taurus came up. This could be about a situation that really does have some sort of financial connotation to it, because for some reason you don't want to make this decision, and it's either a financial thing or it's because it just feels very secure. It feels like things are very comfortable, and you've definitely fallen into that, but you're not growing where you're at anymore. And definitely Saturn and Jupiter and Aquarius are asking you to move on, to go into the unknown so you can really fulfill those hopes and dreams. And you're just not growing where you're at anymore. People are putting their own baggage off on you, and you're really needing to purge that and possibly purge some relationships that just are stopping you from that growth. Let's not forget, that we also have the Three of Pentacles. So this is really talking about work first and finding your own security, whether this is at work or in a relationship, finding a good foundation. But remember, the Six of Pentacles is not just about some sort of benefactor or a loan, even though you could be getting that, or, you know, it doesn't even have to be a loan. It could be about some sort of help that is needed. I think this is interesting also because this can also be like a card of like a creditor as well, and you do own credit astrologically. So just making sure that you're not overindulging, especially with Venus in your sign as well, and having all the other planets file into your sign. Make sure you're just being very careful about how much you buy on credit cards and really tapping into that inner wisdom by not being too overindulgent. But and really making those tough calls, I think, is something that you're really being asked to do right now. You are in charge of this, and I just think that you have to remember that and make those tough calls, because the Emperor is not only, just like that grizzly bear, is not only somebody that has everything that they need within them and in their kingdom and within themselves, but it's also really asking you to pull on that defense part of the Emperor as well. Defending everything that you have built. And I think it's just time for some things to go, whether that's mentalities, whether that's structures, whether that's relationships with people that just aren't helping you grow anymore and just aren't good for you anymore. Letting those things go. Remember that your opposite is also Scorpio, and Judgment is Pluto's card. And it's really a sign of, you know, like letting things go, maybe getting closure. But I think possibly some resentment is definitely building up, especially with that Ten of Wands. Some resentment is being built up, and so really needing to get things out on the table with relationships and getting closure and maybe moving on from those things completely, if not just getting the closure. The Six of Pentacles is why I say that, because the Six of Pentacles, like I was trying to say, is not just about, you know, getting the resources you need and the help. On its darker side is saying that we might be in a relationship that's giving us just what we need to kind of keep going, but something is missing. We're not being given the resources that we need to thrive. We're being given breadcrumbs. Okay. And so with that, I think that you could be doing so much more, but you just have to let it go. You have to get out of that very Taurian like comfortability and be willing to take some risks. And I think that'll really pay off in the end. And I think that, you know, you'll really feel that on a heart level as well. With that being said, Taurus, that is your reading. If you like my reading style and if you want to book a reading with me, you can head on over to clearsightconsulting.net, and I will talk to you guys later. Bye.